everyone. I have my beautiful friend Casey over here, and she is a financial and life architect. Well, that is exciting. I've never heard of a life architect. So let's just start off by telling me all about that. What is that?
So yeah, good question. Because when you're a business owner, you can name yourself whatever the heck you want,
Lifestyle
which
of
I
a
love.
CEO.
Right. And when I describe what I do, a lot of people like, so you're a coach. And it's just so much more than that. So basically what I do is I help empower mainly entrepreneurs, but everyone really, to design and build the life that they dream of through financial and mindset education and tools so that they can actually live out the life they were created for and leave a legacy for generations to come.
That is beautiful. I like how you coined the word architect, because you're designing and you're building like an architect.
Exactly.
That is awesome. I love it. So tell me a little bit about how you reshift your mind, because there's so many people out there, because you and I have talked about this off the camera, and we were saying how nowadays, like, they do not teach finances in school. I know I didn't learn how to do that. I didn't learn how to do my taxes in school, or how to manage my money, how to save, or all of this stuff. What kind of tools and techniques do you have for the average person listening right now that might not have that knowledge, might not be able to know that they should be saving X% of their checks, or other than like what some people have, just like a simple 401k? So how would what kind of tips and tricks do you have for the average listener?
Oh, definitely. Okay. So basically, yes, we really aren't taught finances in school unless you are in one of those 5 lucky states in the US that have a required like financial literacy class, but it doesn't really teach you much. And honestly, I went to school in one of those states. I don't remember learning anything. So,
what are those 5 states, if you remember off the top of your hand?
Honestly, I don't remember off the top of my head, except for Virginia, because that's the one that I went into. But you can Google it; it's right there. But the other 45 states, they have sex ed. Okay, that's important too.
Sure.
But don't you think it's important for us to have both? And honestly, it's been proven that people who are more educated in finances have kids later in life anyway. So they know how much a kid costs. Hey, let's wait a little bit. But yeah,
finances.
So some simple tips and tricks are basically, we do 3 things with our money. We save, which most people, don't need any help there. We are like from birth. I went this, right? So
shiny objects in real life.
Yeah, exactly. We save. So some people are really good at it. Some people are horrible at it, but on average, we need a lot of help. In the US, -1% on average is what we save. And that's with the wealthiest of the wealthiest and the poorest of the poorest, -1%.
That is crazy.
And then the third one is investing. So investing, most people don't know, even if they are investing, what their money is actually doing. So I help people in all those areas. And just to save, first of all, let's say you earn this much money. Okay, some people tithe, which means 1/10, right? Don't you think you should at least be saving the same amount? And if you don't tithe or give to charity, at least 10%, right? But then we also focus on a lot of things like debt, because we are really good at spending. Some of us get in a lot of debt over those, right? So there are programs like Dave Ramsey. A lot of people are familiar with that. And that's a good, good program, but it's a one-size-fits-all program. And unfortunately, just like shoes, not everyone's finances are the same, right?
Yes, that is for
sure. So So yeah, so when it comes to debt, most people are only paying off their debt and they're like, I'll save later. However, it's like going to the gym when you think about it. If you're going to work on your arms, do you work out one arm at a time? Like, okay, I'm going to work out this arm and just forget about this one. This one's like all limp, right? No, you work them both out, right? So you want strong, getting rid of your debt while you're saving. So like, let's say your savings down here and your debt's up here. Well, you pay a little debt off, you save a little bit, pay a little debt off, you save a little bit. Uh-oh, emergency came up, a little more debt, but now you still have money, right?
Yes.
And then you pay a little debt off, you save money, and then eventually it's like this. So you've saved more and you've paid off your debt.
Ah, that's a great tip. So, do you have any? So, debt is something that I see. I was in debt for a very long time and I'm not anymore, thank goodness. But I just had to reshift my mindset with doing that. Do you have any strategies that you teach your clients on how to save and how to get out of debt? Because that's something that, again, isn't taught in school. And I know so many people that are in debt and are still struggling, thinking like, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur tomorrow and I need to quit my job, but you have bills to pay. How are you going to do that?
So true, so true. Well,
Yeah.
couple things are obviously budgeting. So not overspending is one way, but most of the things that we get in debt on, putting student loans aside, are things that we think we need, but we don't really need. Like a brand new car when our car is only 2 years old, right? Or a brand new phone, same situation, right? And these things are expensive and okay, maybe you can afford it, but really you can't, right? You're spending all your money there and not putting anything aside. So the best plan is actually, before you spend anything, think about who is most important to pay. All right. If you had a line of creditors, like your car, your electric, your rent, everybody like at your door in line, and you have yourself, where do you put yourself? Do you put you at the front of the line or in the back of the line? Who are you going to pay first?
Me.
Right? But most people do it the completely opposite way. I'm going to pay all my bills first. And then if I have anything left over, which most people don't, then they'll pay themselves. They'll save something. So if you set an amount aside that you are going to save, even if it's only $25 a month, I mean, that's
That
like
adds up.
not a lot.
Well, it still does. It's
Exactly.
better. That's $25 more than you had yesterday in your savings account.
Exactly. And then it starts building up, especially if you're putting it in a place that has a little more interest than in the bank. So,
ooh, tell me more about that. So,
well,
I mean, obviously now like the crypto world's blowing up and like investments are blowing up. So tell me about like how to go about finding places where they should put their money, not necessarily investing, but where they should put their money that they are going to get a little bit more of a better return on their investment or their banking situations.
of course, yeah. Well, first, obviously, there's always bank accounts that do have higher interest rates. Like, even for myself, I've been banking at the same bank since I was like 10 or 12. And over the years, I've seen how, like, I went from having like a couple $1,000s in my bank and earning $20 a year on interest to having like 20,000 in my bank and earning like $2 a year in interest. I'm like, wait a minute, it's the same bank account. What happened? So then there are a few out there that actually do pay more, even when the average is like 0.01. 0.01.
Oof. Oof.
So I know a few years ago, American Express Savings actually has a savings account, right? And it was doing 2%. Now those interest rates have lowered. There's nothing really that high out there anymore, but there are some that are higher than our regular bank accounts. And then there's other things that you actually need to speak with a financial professional about, because there are just so many out there.
Yes,
But
I mean,
yeah,
finances in general are just so, especially nowadays, like people need to pay a little bit more attention to how they spend their money and how they use their money, and if they're allowing their money to grow for them. So talk about a little bit about the investing side of it, because you came in saying that you're also help people with investments. And like I mentioned, like investments nowadays, people are getting more and more aware of it, especially with the rise of crypto. Like so many people are like, holy shit, Bitcoin is at like 50K right now. I should have got in that 10 years ago. So now is the time. You still can. And I'm not saying crypto because that might not be your thing, or stocks might not be your thing, but investments in general. Like I have a ton of investments and they're working for me. My money, I'm not working for my money, it's working for me. So how can someone get started or know a little bit more information, or how to go about more information of how to start investing?
of course, yes. So there's really three factors in building wealth. The first one is something called compounding interest, or the rule of 72. Einstein called it the eighth wonder of the world.
Ooh.
So basically, it's finding out what interest rate you're going to be getting, right? Finding an account that's really going to pay you more than what you get in the bank. Second one is risk. There are two types of risk most people are familiar with, but there's really three types of accounts when it comes to investing. You've got your fixed, which most people know is like CDs or something. Then there's the variable, which basically the stock market. And then there's a third one called index. So that's kind of a combination, but without loss. And the third one is taxes, because, you know, there's only two consistents in life, death and tax, right? We cannot get away with not paying taxes, but we can learn how to pay our fair share and no more. And that's really what the wealthy know how to do. Because you may have heard, like a few years ago, I forget exactly who it was. Someone was running for vice president or president, and he was making a couple $1 million and paying 14% in taxes, where I think his assistant was making 100,000 and paying 30% in taxes. And they're like, wait a minute, that's not fair. It's like, they just know the right tax people in the right place to put their money to invest, right? So it is what it is. It's always been there. We just need to know where to look. It's available to all of us. So there's basically, there are three types of accounts having to do with taxes. There are the taxable. That's basically our savings, our checking, stocks, bonds, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, all of that stuff that's constantly being taxed. Yes, people think like Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, some people think that it's not taxed, but hey, if you want to actually have access to it, you're going to pay taxes on it.
Correct.
And then like your 401k, your IRAs, that long-term stuff, that's the tax deferred. So you're not paying taxes now, but you're going to pay taxes later. And in general, are taxes going down or up?
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't know what they're going to be in the future, but most people think up. And then there's the third category, exactly, up. There's a third category called tax exempt. And there's really only two places to save there long term, which make money. Something called a Roth IRA, most people have heard of, and another place called PPLI. So if you've ever heard of Tony Robbins, yeah, the big tall guy. Yeah. So he actually wrote a book on it. Yeah. You know,
Yes.
big exercises, right? He wrote a book on it called Money Master the Game. He interviewed a lot of wealthy people and he asked them where they put their money, because you never hear wealthy people talking about 401ks.
Yeah, that's true.
So he coined it as private placement life insurance. And even if you look at the banks, the thing that they invest most in, even more above real estate, is bank-owned life insurance.
Huh.
So there's the 3 categories, and it just depends on people's risk tolerance. If they have a lot of time or a lot of money, go variable.
Why not? Yeah.
If you don't have a lot of time or you don't want to lose a lot of money, go fixed. But then there's the middle ground, which has the best of both
worlds. Yeah. So tax season is going up. You mentioned a little bit about that. Do you have any tips for anyone trying to be smarter with their taxes? I'm not saying go out there and scam your taxes. You still have to pay our taxes. Any tips to be smarter with the way that we do our taxes?
Well, obviously, keep your receipts. It's very important, especially as a business owner. Basically, when it comes to paying taxes, business owners pay less. That's just how it is. If you're an employee, you get your check after the tax has already been paid, right? So you get whatever is left over. In business, you get to spend your money after you've earned it, and then whatever's left over, on business expenses, obviously, whatever's left over, then you pay taxes on that. So employees actually pay the most amount of taxes.
I didn't know that, actually. That's a fun tip. Most of our audience is business owners and entrepreneurs anyway, so that's a good tip right there.
So yeah, I'm not a tax specialist, but just from my own experience and the things that I've learned through the classes that my company helps, teach other people. Yeah, we have a huge one on taxes.
Good. Someone needs to do it. They don't do it in school.
Exactly.
So what other tips do you have on cutting down debt? I know you mentioned budgeting already. We talked a little bit about that. One of my favorite tips is when I work with clients that are in debt is just cutting up their credit cards. Like, don't use your credit card anymore, or cutting down on subscriptions. Like, who has a Netflix subscription that they don't watch? Like, come on,
exactly.
Cut that out. You don't need that $20 a month subscription. Do you have any other tips for anyone?
So like you said, multiple subscriptions to basically the same thing. Like some people have Hulu and Netflix and Disney, and oh my gosh, just pick one. Pick one. Or go in on it with someone else. Split that cost. It may be inexpensive, but hey, you're still saving money.
Those $20 a month add up.
They do. They really do. It's like Starbucks, $25 a month that you save is like 1 Starbucks a week.
Yeah.
That you drink less. Make your coffee at home.
Buy the Starbucks roast.
Right? Hey, great idea. Honestly, when it comes to credit cards, make sure it's a credit card. The balance or the amount that you have available to you is not more than you can actually afford to pay off in a month. That's one tip. A second one is make 3 payments per month. It doesn't have to be full payments. It could be whatever the minimum your credit card will accept. Like my American Express takes $1 payments.
Wow.
So I make 2 $1 payments plus the balance of my credit card every month. So basically that's every 10 days. And that's also to help build your credit score too. If credit scores are only important if you're looking to buy a house or a car or anything like that. Just to let you know, people are so scared about credit scores. Yes. But unless you're really planning on doing a big item like that, don't worry about it. We can help you do that too. So yeah, just make 3 payments a month, whatever your minimum is, $1, some of it's $5, and then pay the whole thing off every month. They actually like that. That's why the interest rates are so high.
Yes.
So the rule of 72 is about making money, but it's also about debt. So basically it states that whatever interest rate it is, if you divide that into 72, if you're making money, that's how long it's going to take your money to double. If you're paying money, That's how long it's going to take your debt to double.
Goodness, that could be a long time.
So if you have a 24% interest rate into 72,
Oof.
that's less than 3 years for whatever's on your credit card to double if you're not paying it correctly.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Goodness, I never even thought about that. Like, I've never even heard of the rule of 72. That's insane how quickly it could double or triple or raise way higher than it should be. Goodness.
Yes.
Well, that was wonderful. Thank you for all of those. Do you have any last minute tips and tricks for anyone? Any mindset hacks that they might need in order to build and design their ideal lifestyle when it comes to finances?
Yes, 100%. Basically, what you think about is what you bring about. So if you're always focusing on your debt, that's what you're going to be getting.
Yes.
If you're thinking about abundance and, happiness and joy, whatever the positive thing that you want in your life, focus on that instead of the negative thing that you might be living through, because whatever you are focusing on is what you are definitely going to bring into fruition.
That's beautiful.
So it doesn't matter if it's having to do with money, relationships, fitness, whatever. You might be 200 pounds overweight, but if you focus on that, you're going to continue to be. But if you focus on, I'm going to fit into that size, whatever. Oh, yeah. And you just keep focusing on it. Eventually, you're working it off the way you want to work it off, just like debt.
I love it. Working it off. That gym metaphor again.
Right? Yeah. Well, I'm into fitness too. So, but also, building it up. You might be in a spot where you don't have a lot of money and you want some. Well, hey, you know what? By the end of this year, I'm going to make an extra $20,000 or whatever the heck you want. Even if it's this month, make an extra $200. Somehow, just keep focusing on it. It may not come the exact time you want it, but if you just keep focusing on it, it will come when it's supposed to.
That's
whether that be God, the universe, the source, whatever you subscribe to, just focus on that.
Yes. So I teach law of attraction as well, and that's definitely resonates, and I'm sure it resonates with my audience as well. Just need to keep focusing on the positive, tune into that channel, and allow the beauty to come out. Thank you so much, Casey. That was beautiful, wonderful, and educated. I feel educated about finances already. Finally, who needs school? Just listen to this. Where can people find you? Where can they tune into you? Where can they know more about their financial wealth and how to grow their wealth? And how can they reach you?
Oh, definitely. So you can find me on Instagram at Casey's Odyssey. So CASEYSDY. You can find me on Facebook. There's actually several of me on Facebook, but space.
Well, there will be a link in the bottom of here anyway. So
okay, perfect. Anyone want to connect? Call me, message me on either of those. I am happy to chat, educate, friend, whatever.
Thank you so much, Casey. That was beautiful, and I feel financially wealthy already.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Register for the free 5-day Rebel Entrepreneur Retreat, where you will learn the step-by-step roadmap to living your life full of abundance and purpose. For the badass spiritual entrepreneur that is ready to step into limitless abundance and consistently bring in 10, 20, 30K months. To register, go to rebelentrepreneurretreat.com.